Well,
the first question is, why do you keep using this no code phrase around the place when you're not going to get very far with no code? Why don't you describe this thing as a sort of steroidal system for getting started much more quickly? But I mean, nobody, unless they're just doing the thing that goes, hello, is going to write anything that's half worth its salt, just on the basis of typing stuff into the system. It's going to have to be tweaked and, mess around with a bit afterwards. So almost everybody who is using your system will have to have at least, elementary knowledge of underlying LiveCode, won't they?
That's a really good question. Stephen, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really trying to understand sort of what no code means. But I think to just go back to one of your points you raised there is that you'll not kind of be able to do anything worth its salt without writing a line of code. I don't necessarily know I completely agree with that. There's lots of apps that have been written out there or they've been created out there that are kind of got a lot of funding and they're doing very well, but they've chosen a no-code tool to build those apps. And I think that's with kind of widgets and actions and data binding, you can do quite a lot. But I think to understand, first we need to try and understand what no-code means. So if you look up a number of tools, and I think I've seen you posted something about the hundreds of no-code tools that are out there in the forums. There's lots of tools labeling themselves as no-code, but if you look closely, they're certainly not all the same.
No, they're not.
They're definitely not. If I try to generalize these tools, and I'd probably split them into three categories. There's tools that are labeling themselves as no code that are for a very specific purpose, such as let's say they're designed for building custom forms, and those tools have all of the things that they need to build great custom forms without a single line of code. That user will never have to write a line of code in order to build those custom forms. But the limitation there is as soon as they want to build something that's kind of not a custom form, then they're stuck. The second category that I think that exists is the more general no-code app building tool where the user's not limited to the type of app that they build. And these tools have got things like widgets and actions and data binding. And you can actually build some quite sophisticated things, but by kind of putting together some actions on certain objects. But those tools don't have any way to extend. There's no extensibility built in. So as soon as that user reaches a limit where they want to complete their app to make it do more than what that tool offers, then again, they're stuck. Then you've got the third category, which does fit into no code. And I think this is maybe where the one that, or where the confusion maybe comes from, is this category is exactly the same as the previous category where you can build kind of whatever you want. You can extend it you can build anything you want, but you can extend it with code. But they are still labeled as no code. There's I completely understand there is some confusion there.
I have a small school full of teenagers who are all, getting themselves very excited in all sorts of funny ways about AI. And they're talking about how all you've got to do is sort of sit in front of a computer and talk to it, and it will it's not the mountain will come to Muhammad. And that's a complete I think it's a complete misunderstanding, and I think it should be made clear to end users of your system that you can only go so far without some level of knowledge. The idea that you could.
And I think it will be. I think just going back to that third category that exists where people can extend it with other languages. They can extend it with JavaScript and Python, but I guess the limit there is the knowledge of the language. But our goal with Xavvi is to remove the need, and we will make this perfectly clear, I think, and as we kind of put together all the messaging, remove the need to write code where possible. Xavvi is going to offer the same level of no-code experience as the main competitors in the sense that you can build beautiful UI, bind it to data, use actions to control what your app does. And the more widgets that we add, the more API connectors that we add, the more actions that we add, that will increase the number of apps that can be built without writing a single line of code. But when that user needs to do more, they need to do something that's not covered by the no-code side of the tool, then what Xavvi's doing is they're not putting them into like JavaScript or Python or saying that they can't go any further like the other categories that I mentioned. We're putting them into the LiveCode language, where along the way, as they've been adding actions, we've been adding clean English script each time an action is added, which gives them the opportunity to learn and understand. And we're adding all sorts of AI support to make that kind of language much easier to use and to give them the best opportunity to succeed with. So, like in my opinion, I think once we have Xavvi, and we absolutely need Xavvi to get there, it is the LiveCode language that makes this the best kind of no-code app building offering that exists. So that does fit into the no-code sphere, or the no-code market, but it definitely is no-code without limits. There is an extensibility. I think there'll be lots of apps that you'll be able to get 100% of the way, but there'll be a ton of apps that you can't. But even if it gets you 80% of the way, and you're kind of the last 20% where you want to do something custom, you're doing that in LiveCode. And I think that's the sort of combination that makes our offering, in my opinion, the best one that's going to exist out there.